So, have you ever made a decision you just instantly regretted? Yeah, we all have. I mean, our brains are beautifully complex, right? But they're also super messy, highly emotional, and honestly pretty prone to error. But what if you could essentially upgrade your mind's software? Let's jump right into this explainer and explore how taking human emotion out of the equation and plugging in systematic thinking can totally optimize our outcomes. We're talking about everything from the choices you make with your morning coffee all the way up to the massive global economy.
To kick things off, let me throw a kind of surprising question your way. What exactly do a billionaire hedge fund manager, a global agricultural farmer, and a wealth-managing tax robot have in common? I know, it sounds like the setup to a really bad joke, but the answer isn't a punchline at all. It's actually the invisible force that's completely reshaping our world, the algorithm. Today, we're going to unpack how systematic algorithmic thinking is the ultimate connector between these totally different worlds, and how it's quietly transforming, well, literally everything around us. All right, here is our roadmap for today. First, the algorithmic advantage. Second, systemizing your life. Third, predicting market chaos. Fourth, robots boosting your returns. And finally, number 5, partnering with the machine.
So let's dive right into sections 1 and 2, the algorithmic advantage and systemizing your life.
We're starting at the micro level here, specifically with billionaire investor Ray Dalio's concept that we should view ourselves as machines operating inside of much larger machines. I mean, just think about the human baseline for a second. Our everyday decisions are constantly getting hijacked by, say, a bad mood, a bruised ego, or just pure physical exhaustion. We're incredibly subjective creatures. Now compare that with Dalio's algorithmic approach. By systemizing your thinking, your decisions become totally objective. They become testable. Dalio uses this awesome concept called believability weighting. Basically, this means giving a lot more weight to the opinions of people who have repeatedly succeeded in a specific area, rather than just blindly listening to whoever happens to be the loudest person in the room. It's kind of like downloading a software patch for your brain to finally fix the bugs of human emotion.
And that brings us to a really heavy-hitting maxim from Dalio. Pain plus reflection equals progress. It's a simple little formula, but man, is it profound. Think about it. Usually when we mess up, our first instinct is just to run away from the embarrassment, right? We just want to bury the mistake and pretend it never happened. But Dalio argues the exact opposite. We actually need to lean into that pain and systematically reflect on it. You have to treat your mistakes not as personal attacks, but as raw data. This is exactly how we start to code smarter, better responses for our future selves. If you touch a hot stove, that pain, that's just a data point teaching your internal machine never to do it again.
Dalio actually built this whole philosophy into a really structured 5-step process. Let's do a quick, rapid-fire hypothetical to see how it works. Imagine you just keep missing out on big career milestones. Okay, step 1, have clear goals. You want a promotion by the end of the year. Step 2, identify the problems standing in your way and absolutely do not tolerate them. Maybe you're constantly missing deadlines. Step 3, diagnose those problems to find the real root cause. Are you missing a specific skill? Or is this a behavioral bug, like chronic procrastination? Step 4, design a solid plan to bypass that root cause. And finally, step 5, push through to completion. It's literally a troubleshooting algorithm for human existence. It takes our chaotic, messy desires and turns them into actionable code. So the huge takeaway here is that by explicitly defining your own personal principles and treating the machine as your completely objective co-pilot, you compound your understanding and you totally strip ego right out of the equation. You're basically teaching the machine your rules and letting it double-check your choices. But guys, here is where it gets truly fascinating. If systemizing our personal thoughts can revolutionize just one single human life, what happens when we apply that exact same algorithmic thinking to the most chaotic, massive global systems on the planet? Let's zoom out and look at section 3, predicting market chaos. Okay, we are looking at some pretty dense academic research analyzing something called the Samuelson effect in agricultural markets. Let's break that down into plain English. It's essentially a phenomenon where the price of a futures contract goes absolutely nuts the closer it gets to its expiration date. Just think about it for a second. If you're buying thousands of tons of corn 6 months from now, a random rainy day today doesn't matter much. But if you're buying that exact same corn tomorrow, a sudden storm today causes mass panic and wild price swings. To account for this, researchers use a maturity-dependent damping term. Now that sounds complicated, but it's really just a mathematical shock absorber. Algorithms use this math to predict exactly when human panic is about to make the market super messy and volatile. To actually capture this chaos accurately, researchers came up with a multi-factor model using something called the Kalman filter algorithm. Again, to keep things simple, just imagine a highly advanced filter that sucks in a massive amount of really noisy, chaotic, everyday data and smooths it all out to find the hidden, true trajectory underneath. In agriculture, prices bounce around wildly based on harvest seasons and just the general time of year. By feeding this seasonal volatility into the Kalman filter, these researchers are essentially teaching the machine to track and predict the biological rhythms of nature itself. How cool is that?
And when you look at the actual data from 2007 to 2019, the results are just staggering. The seasonal algorithms systematically outperformed the standard, non-seasonal models. They predicted extreme volatility peaks with incredibly high accuracy across massive global commodities. We're talking about the fundamental building blocks of our world here: corn, cotton, soybeans, and wheat. This is not just some dusty academic exercise in a vacuum. This is complex math, literally mapping the future of our global food supply, proving beyond a doubt that systemized models can find crystal clear order in the wildest of markets.
So on a macro level, what you really need to take away from this is that algorithms act as the ultimate partner in bringing order to a seriously chaotic world. Whether we're talking about cotton yields or global wheat distribution, they can see the patterns hidden in the noise that our human brains simply do not have the processing power to see. But the best part? You do not have to be a billionaire hedge fund manager or a global commodities trader to partner up with a machine. Actually, you can use one right now for your own personal wallet.
Which brings us right to Section 4. Robots boosting your returns. Take Vanguard's tax-smart robots, for example. We can break down exactly how this specific algorithm just tirelessly scans the market to save you money. Okay, step 1. You utilize direct indexing. This means instead of buying one massive mutual fund, you actually own the individual stocks within it. And right here is where the machine takes over for step 2. A robot tirelessly scans the entire market every single day looking for microscopic opportunities. Step 3, it harvests those losses for you. And what's really remarkable is that because you own individual stocks, it can find and harvest these losses even in years when the overall stock market is way up. Then, step 4, it uses those harvested losses to automatically offset your capital gains. Honestly, a human wealth manager would be utterly exhausted trying to do this daily for thousands of stocks. A robot? It doesn't even blink. When you stretch this out, Vanguard's historical estimates show a massive after-tax advantage over a full 10-year period when using this method. I mean, just try to imagine a human being trying to monitor thousands of individual securities every single day for a full decade. Doing all that without getting distracted by a flashy news headline, without ever getting tired, and without making a single emotional trading error. It's completely impossible for us, but for the algorithm, it's just flawless, systematic, emotionless wealth building. Compounding day after day, it just does exactly what it was coded to do.
And finally, that leads us to Section 5, partnering with the machine.
This timeline perfectly summarizes the entire journey of our explainer today. Really optimizing your outcomes requires a true partnership with the machine at every single scale of life. First, on the micro level, you upgrade your internal machine by turning your painful, emotional mistakes into objective, actionable principles. Second, on the macro level, you systemize external market chaos with models that can actually predict the unpredictable rhythms of nature. And third, bringing it right back to the personal level, you deploy tax-smart robots to quietly automate and protect your wealth. It's exactly like playing jazz with an algorithmic partner, right? Each of you is doing what you do best to create a result that is way, way greater than the sum of its parts.
Ray Dalio actually suggests that this deep link to computers isn't just some clever little life hack. It is fundamentally going to advance the evolution of our entire species. So we've got to leave you with this final provocative thought to consider for your own life and your own daily habits. Will your partnership with the machine advance your own evolution, or will you let human emotion leave you behind? The algorithm is ready when you are. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.